On this week's video, I know that I've said in the past that occasionally I do videos that are just for me, and this is one of those because I'm going to guess that a lot of people don't really care about the movie Alien from LA and its sequel. That's right, it has a sequel. For those of you that actually know what Alien from LA is, you're probably saying to yourself right now, wait, I didn't realize that there was a sequel, and neither did I. The only reason why I found out about it is because I stumbled upon it on a list of franchises, and it was a list of franchises on Wikipedia that said series with 2 entries, Alien from LA. This confused me, so I clicked on it, and the story that unfolded surprised me, and I knew that I had to make this video about it. I'm sure that it's not going to be one of my most popular videos, because again, I don't think many people know or care about this series, but you should, because buckle up, this story is pretty crazy.
So this all starts simply enough back in 1988 with Alien from LA from B-movie director extraordinaire Albert Pyun, the man who brought you The Sword and the Sorcerer, Cyborg, and the 1990 Captain America movie, and Nemesis. It stars Kathy Ireland, famous swimsuit model, and she's dumped by her boyfriend for not wanting to go anywhere or do anything, but then I guess also because he hates her glasses and hair and voice and clothing and walk and voice.
Rodney, please! Let's talk about it. I can change.
Kind of don't blame him on that one.
He says it's the last 2 weeks of August, and I have to say, I think we're supposed to think he's a jerk, but I mean, he's pretty civil about the whole breakup thing, and Wanda just does not want to let it go. So her dad has been missing for 10 years and her mother died, and someone mails her a letter without a stamp because that would have pushed the budget over the limit, and the letter tells her that her father died. She goes to Africa at the request of his colleague, and he was searching for an alien race that became the Atlanteans, who he thought lived at the center of the Earth. And she finds his passageway falling into an underground world. Her dad was right, and this is Atlantis, where she meets Gus, and Loki here, who's the guy who played Watney in Gore 2, and everyone here has some really interesting fashion sense and quality makeup skills, and she ends up on a series of misadventures, including Deep Roy, and Janine Duplessis, who actually plays multiple roles in the film. She's Shank here, and is also completely unrecognizable as the villainous General Rykov, and everyone ends up after Wanda since she's an alien. She's the alien from LA of the title. And this criminal calls himself Brick Bardo, but he's no doll, man. But then Freddy shows up, and Freddy always knows where there's a place to party, and Wanda's captured. She's reunited with her dad, and Gus saves them, and they make it back to the portal to the surface. And oddly, every time someone refers to Rykov, they're referred to as he. So I'm not sure if the character's supposed to be male, or if they're indicating that they're more open with gender in Atlantis. Don't know. But Wanda and her dad are returned to the surface, and everyone talks about Wanda like she did heroic stuff, but she literally didn't do anything. I mean, she got kidnapped repeatedly and had to be saved by Gus and Jarman. I don't know why she's the hero here. Somehow, I guess, Jarman has made it to the surface too. Since there's no given date in this one, but the setting is clearly late 80s, we're going to go ahead and place it in its release year of 1988. Okay. So here's where things get weird, and when this video, I think, becomes way more interesting, because in 1989, 1 year later, a sequel was released entitled Journey to the Center of the Earth. But it is not as simple as being a sequel. You see, it was directed by Rusty Lemirande, who is a Golden Globe winner for producing Yentl with Barbra Streisand, and this was supposed to be his directorial debut. Here's the problem, though. He claims that the movie isn't his. You see, his movie was never intended to be a sequel or anything. It was shot in 1986, a couple years earlier, but But the money ran out, and Canon Films, who produced it, pulled the plug, and the footage just went on a shelf somewhere. Then, 2 years later, in order to fulfill a contractual demand, Canon hired Pyun to take the footage, gave him a very minimal budget, and told him to complete it as a sequel to Alien from LA. Lemarande claims that only about 8 minutes of the finished film is his, even though he is the credited director, and Pyun states that he hates the film and disavows it as well.
I actually have my doubts about that 8-minute number, as you'll see as we get into this.
So this one starts in England with things looking oddly Victorian, and nanny Christina gets hired for a job in Hawaii, which looks less Victorian. And this kid, comedically I guess, dangles his little sister out of a high-rise window.
Oh ho ho, the laughs!
Turns out that Christina is nannying a dog, and supposedly somewhere around here is where Pyun took over, but it's really hard to peg down what is old versus new footage, why it is here, and you don't even have a license, Lisa! And everyone ends up in a cave together. An erupting volcano sends them tumbling down to the land of the lost, and it's my suspicion that this is where the footage really starts to get mixed up, since little Sarah, their younger sister, doesn't fall with them. She just disappears in the cave, and no one really seems that concerned that she's not there anymore. I mean, for real, they just don't mention her again. And then there's a dream sequence with these weird monster things and random emo Phillips, and hey, Sarah is here, and I assume that this is an attempt to salvage some footage from Lemarande's version. Like they had this unfinished footage that didn't fit anywhere. I mean, it looks as if it was the climax of the film, and they didn't want to waste these gigantic monster designs, so they turned them into dream sequences. And a few minutes later, we get a definitive shift in directors as we end up back in Atlantis, and Shank is back, and it becomes clear that the actor that played Richard was unavailable for the reshoots, since he's randomly rescued, but only from the back, so we can't see who's being rescued, and a backlit Sarah is there too. So at this point, we're pretty much at the halfway point of the film, and if I had to guess, I would say that a good portion of the footage that we've seen so far belongs to Lemarande, and from this point on, we're shifting to Pyun as we finally reach Atlantis. It's possible that some of the earlier scenes were shot by him as well, but I think it's pretty clear that anything involving the characters of Richard or Sarah are from the original footage, with only the characters of Brian and Christina being available to return for reshoots. And then, yeah, I mean, suddenly at the 40-minute mark, the film just suddenly becomes a sequel to Alien from LA. It's seemingly right after the events of that one, or possibly occurring at the same time. Rykov is back as well, and they're planning to invade the surface world, and Shank says that aliens were valuable a little while ago. So it is a short while after the last film then, and pictures of Wanda are everywhere. And then a final fight is just cut short when they play heavy metal music, and then literally everyone is just back on the surface, and we're just told what happened afterwards from a news report saying that Earth and Atlantis are now at peace. And then Wanda appears for a single shot in which she doesn't say anything and she just looks at the camera and smiles, and then I guess Shank is now on the surface, and that's it. It's just over. It's in the most abrupt and odd way possible. I'm not joking. The character of Brian just jumps on a guy's back, they play a heavy metal song, Rykov screams, and the battle's over. It's not said how much time between the two events passed, but it does seem like a short period of time, so we'll go with it taking place 1 year later, just like in real time, and place it in 1989.
So there you have it. It's two movies that were never meant to be a sequel, and somehow became one. I find this to be one of the most fascinating stories in all of the videos that I've done. This is pretty wild. I cannot imagine being handed half of a movie and being said, here take this and turn it into a follow-up to your movie? It just sounds so bizarre and insane to me, and the movie it's bizarre and insane. It's so strange to watch. Both of these movies are pretty entertaining and fun to watch, especially just because the first one is kind of that weird sort of, oh my god, this is really bad, but it's also kind of interesting to watch. Kathy Ireland's performance is so odd that it just becomes compelling. There's a lot about it that's very funny. I know that there was a very popular Mystery Science Theater about it as well too, but I enjoyed just watching the regular film, to be honest. And Journey to the Center of the Earth is just such a weird movie, because if I had watched this movie not knowing the story, I would not know what to make of it, because it is just, everything in it feels random and unconnected and strange. It just goes from one thing to the next, with weird characters just vanishing and then just appearing, and then suddenly halfway through it becomes a completely different movie. It's very, very strange. The way the movie ends is one of the most off-putting things I've ever seen. I can't recall a time that I just thought to myself, wait, that's how they're wrapping that up, as much as I did with this movie. Trust me, you have to see it. It's fascinating. If you have seen these and you know about them, please leave me some comments down below. Tell me what you thought of these. If you have never heard of either one of these, let me know that as well too. I just want to hear your thoughts on this, because myself, I am flabbergasted by it and love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm so happy to have both of these movies in my collection now that it just makes me very, very happy. But that's it. Please like this video, subscribe it, and share it, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be clicking on a thumbnail that says Alien from LA, so I need your help with this one. Of course, subscribe to the channel and do all the things that you like normally. Please click on the Patreon page as well and help support this channel and keep it going. I actually reached out to the gentleman that is Wyatt from Weird Science and asked him if he would like to appear in this video, and he was very courteous, explaining that he does not do things like that anymore, but he was very courteous for even taking the request, and his response was very polite. So I thank him for even considering it. Yeah, that's about it for this week's video. Thank you for watching it. Hope I'll see you again on the next one. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.